Evening, everybody. Thanks for joining us. This is a regularly scheduled meeting of the Marquette Township Board. It's Wednesday, May 6th, 2026, and it's 5:34 p.m. and we're going to start with the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks for that. Okay, roll call, please, Randy.
Okay, Trustee Everson is absent and excused this evening. Trustee Winslow.
Present.
Trustee Kidda.
Here.
Trustee Leighton.
Here.
Treasurer Rickauer.
Here.
Clerk Rattari is here, and Supervisor Durant.
Here.
Staff present is Manager Kangas, our attorney Roger Zappa, and on Zoom we got, Kim is here, Kim Clark, our finance director is here, and on Zoom is Leonard Bodinas, our superintendent of public works. No
Very
committee
good.
members here today.
That's true, yeah. Well, kind of.
Well,
Surrogate.
he's the director.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so public comment, I guess we can skip over that, sort of. Consent agenda. Tonight, that consists of approval of regular meeting minutes of April 15th, 2026. We have bills payable in the amount of $212,923.24. No other reports, correspondence, a few things I put in for you. The Recycle 906 trifold book flyer is new. If anybody in the public has that up on their screen, they can print it and trifold it. I think it's pretty neat. It tells you everything you need to know about recycling at 906. It's an excellent document. Threw that in there for you. We should have some at the office too. They're supposed to be dropping some off in case somebody comes in and wants to pay a bill and wants to pick one up. There's also a solid waste tipping fee increase proposal that has not gone through the board yet. That'll happen 2 weeks from now. They're proposing an $11 increase to the tipping fees to take effect July 1st. That's important to the public because that means your trash will more than likely go up. It will go up if that goes up. So I keep fighting that when I attend those meetings. And then I did put the UP Power Company hearing notice in, even though it was yesterday because the packet went out Friday. So if anybody was interested in that, they would be able to see it. And I did put some talking points together on recycling also because I was asked to do that for one of my other committees. So I put that information in for you. So that's enough information for now. I just need approval of that agenda.
Accept the consent agenda. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. We're going to make a couple changes to the rest of the agenda. John, did you want to move up?
8G.
Yeah, just G. I know that one. I didn't know if,
Does Lenny want to talk about 8F too?
that's what I was thinking. I couldn't
Move
find it.
8F, that's about the pickleball situation.
Do we need him
We
for that?
can move that. The reason why the agenda was structured the way it was, I assumed we were gonna knock Lenny and Dan off simultaneously, but with Dan not being here, and really the ladder truck financing is a board decision anyway, I think we can move both of those up. Jason did most of the homework on the acoustic materials, but I can cover that either way. Lenny was involved in the conversation, so sure, move them both. if
Yeah,
you're-
okay.
Okay, so I'll move to approve the agenda with the following changes: is 8G will be 8A and 8F will be 8B, and then we'll just restructure the
Push
rest.
the COLA down?
Yeah.
Okay. I had it following A. That's okay. Okay. And the reason we're doing this is only because Lenny's online, and we don't need to keep him. Why have something at the bottom of the
Yeah.
agenda? So there's no other reason to do this.
And generally, we try to do that before the agenda goes out, but some of these things have been live animals up until right before the
Yeah, an
supervisor
hour
called the
ago.
meeting to order, so.
Yep, pretty much. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, thanks for that. So, no conflicts of interest that I'm aware of. We're going to start with Bob Hendrickson, the Director, CEO. I'm sorry, I don't know exactly your title. For the Iron Ore Heritage Rec
Trail
Authority.
Administrator.
Trail Administrator, okay, thanks.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you, Lynn, for inviting me to the board meeting. This is part of a two-meeting series that Lynn started with the Iron Ore Heritage Trail to give some updates to the board. My mic on, I suppose?
I think so.
It's on.
Okay.
You're good.
And so this is an opportunity to present with you what we have going on for the year, especially at the beginning of the year, and then we'll do a wrap-up in October to kind of say where we've been and what we've done. We're in the midst of still assessing the trail condition. We still have snowpack on a lot of the trail. It is a historic winter for snowfall, which is now kind of continuing to plague us. But overall, there's been no catastrophic damage to the trail this year, which we're kind of expecting with the rapid melt in April. We were very worried about culverts and bridges, which seem to have held intact at this point. And more of surface erosion issues, and the beaver are back in a fury right now. So we have several areas that are trying to manage beaver dams being built along or on the trail. So overall, still assessing, and we'll be getting repairs starting next week with many of the areas, kind of putting the priority to the areas that are where the trail is not passable or very in compromise, and then moving to areas that need to be addressed. Anything down along the lake shore is all good. Out to Chocolate has been good. And that kind of brings me to our project list for 2026. One of our major projects is the Lankinen Land Extension, and that'll be a 4.3 mile addition to the Iron Ore Heritage Trail from Cabogam Road in Chocolate out to the Sculpture Park. It'll be all within the DNR corridor, which is a 100-foot wide corridor of the old railroad grade. And that's going to be, the original plan for that was to put a parallel non-motorized trail through there. We've hit a lot of hiccups through landowners and through the County Road Commission, which has a road that's not been abandoned through there, still recognized as a county road. So we went back to our grant coordinator at the state. So we have a $300,000 Michigan Trust Fund grant for this project. And then we have a $100,000 Michigan Trails Fund, which is a fund that was developed for the Iron Bell Trail that starts in Ironwood and goes down to Bell Island in Detroit. Those two matching grants, then we'll pay for the surplus of that. At this time, we're looking at probably a $700,000 project. And what we'll do is improve the existing service. So it is an ORV snowmobile trail. What we'll do is refine it to be a true multi-purpose trail. Be 12 feet wide. We'll build up the grade where there's sand and it's an old, railroad grade area that needs improvement. And then we'll be capping it with a fine aggregate similar to what we have in the township here and out to Negaunee Township. So that will serve the role as an improvement that will be allowed by this trust fund to be to get those monies in. So that was a whole year process of kind of going through that, and we finally have that job out on bid now, which we expect to award the bid at the end of May, and then construction's to begin in June. So that was a long work in progress. At the end, there will be a parking pad within the corridor at Lankinen Land for ADA accessibility, and also interpretive site there, which we'll talk about regenerative jack pine forest and that area of ecosystem, and also about the indigenous tribes that lived in the area and how that land was impacted, through the development and through just previous people that lived there before we came here. Other project that we'll be working on is the Koski Woods project, and that's the 176-acre tract in Marquette Township with a little bit going into Negaunee Township. We did get a trail catalyst grant from the Michigan Trails and Greenways Alliance, and that was to help pay for assessment of how to build the trails there. Part of that grant was incorporated to work with other trail groups, and we've partnered with NTN to do that. So we've been working on that since last year. We're finishing off the the routes this summer of how the trail layout, and then we want to present that to the public before we go ahead and start flagging things and making it official. So the idea behind that is to create trail systems that is non-motorized, single track, bicycle, hiking friendly. Hopefully we can get some winter use out of it too with skiing and snowshoeing, and making it geared more towards beginner to intermediate trail users with maybe some advanced features in there too. But it's something that we want to bring open to the biggest spectrum of the public that we can. Otherwise, Glenn Johnson, who is your Iron Ore Heritage Recreation Authority representative for Marquette Township, I believe he came in March to the meeting. What we're doing is compiling an assessment from all the municipalities that are in the Recreation Authority to kind of get a feel of what each municipality wants to have improved on the trail or projects that we can do. Always the number one list, Marquette Township, and most of the townships going to the west, is access to the trail from 41, and we're still working on those ideas. Part of the things that we've talked about, and this is with some of the DNR, is trying to improve some access corridor through Pete's Pass and making that a more of accessible area of somehow creating linkage to the commercial side of it, to the east or to the west. But that'll be something that we'll be working with the DNR and with the local municipality here too. Mentioned the Koski Forest. Another option that we were looking at too, since that corridor in Marquette Township and through all the way is a state DNR corridor, there is a little bit of room to maybe possibly do a single track feature alongside the paved trail or the single track, so it'd be something that we could work on. So that's something that came up. We did hear that in the deep of the summer, start when we get lighting starting to get less, lighting and canopy trimming, somehow improving visibility in that corridor. That's something that lighting has always been a challenge for us. We've never found a sustainable way to maintain that, putting it on our bill or the municipality's bill. You can usually find a grant to help install the lighting, but the long-term use of the lighting is the challenge there. So that's something that we recognize. We'd love to have more lit sections of the trail to use, but at the same time, the long-term feasibility of it's what the challenge is at this time. Connectivity across the highway, mentioned that, and really that's the biggest challenge I think we have with a lot of the municipalities. One was the County Road 492 flasher that's coming into Marquette from the west end. And the county informed us that they do not work on electronic signal lights and that it would be on us. So now we are in the process of trying to find a sign company that can have a bucket truck to work on it or to check the wiring contacts, because we don't have any way to access the electronic box on that. So if anybody has any leads on that kind of things, we'd be more than happy to listen to that or pursue those opportunities. Those are the primary ones that came from Marquette Township. It's kind of opening it up to the board now to see if you have questions or any comments for me to bring back to the Iron Ore Heritage Recreation Authority.
We had talked when I was on the board about lighting. It went back to the beginning. We were going to do solar. We were going to do some kind of similar to what's on 492 right now that you were talking about, but not as a power source. I mean, the way it is, it's fueling. Well, I guess it would be probably the same thing, just a different design. But that was the original intent, was just to make it solar, so we didn't have an expense or wires or anything.
Yeah.
I don't know how that would work, but
Yeah, when we had
different
our
now.
office down in the Harlow block, Peninsula Solar is also based out of there too. I did ask them about what the possibilities are. They don't usually do that kind of small scale stuff. They're more on a power grid kind of basis. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure that's out there pretty close. I mean, those kind of units would be something that could be looked at in the near future. Hopefully that technology will trickle down into the consumer area.
I wonder if BLP or UPCO or somebody would be able to provide some kind of grant or something for it.
We have through UPCO, we've tried to get the lighting from Nagani up to Ishpeming, which there is a grant that you could do that, but then the long-term, who's gonna pay the electric bill?
That's real
This-
lighting, yeah.
Yeah, and if it's solar, I don't know, I haven't really explored that with them on it, so.
I have to believe that the portion through the township, the canopy is so heavy in the summer, solar
That's
could be a
true.
challenge.
Sure.
Yeah, it
And
is.
I don't know that anyone wants that canopy to completely disappear either, because that covered
Right.
pathway feel is actually kind of a nice atmosphere.
Right, and it's pretty unique in a lot of aspects, and that's probably the best section of trail that has that tunnel effect, because the grade is raised up so much higher than the rest of the property around it, that you kind of get this elevated, corridor feel when you go down that section of trail.
Any questions for Bob? Comments?
Get
Okay,
out there with a shovel and clear the trail for us?
Well, we've tried certain aspects, though. The problem really, I mean, and even, some of the municipalities, Ishpeming did it one year, is that it's more than a snowpack, it's actually an ice pack. And it's actually physically adhered to the asphalt on the bottom, which it doesn't come off. I mean, anything that you put on it really just rides right up on top of it, so. Yeah, there would be a great way to, and I'm actually surprised that the pavement down here hasn't thawed as much as it has on other sections of the trail, but I think some of that is also, even without the leaves on it, the canopy prevents direct solar, warming of it. So once you get a patch of asphalt cleared, then it seems like it kind of spreads from there. So maybe we cheese hole it and try to do that. I
get your
don't know.
snow, hair dryer out.
Right, yeah, do little patches of it,
Yeah.
so.
I think that section behind Lost Creek where we were talking the other day, it just doesn't get adequate sun.
Right.
You have to have the ambient air temperature melt it, and it takes time.
Yeah, and again, with the snowfall that came down this year, and with the snowmobile grooming, I mean, it created such an ice pack on it that this is gonna take time. So hopefully, it'd be nice to have that same weather that we had in April now in May, but it looks like it's gonna be cold for another week or so, so hopefully June.
Can't wait.
That's the best I
Been a
can
rough
say at this
winter.
point. Yeah,
We're on
Okay.
month 8 of visible snowfall.
I don't know.
Well, thanks, Bob. We always appreciate you
Yeah, I
coming
appreciate
in.
it too. I mean, it is a really important opportunity, I feel, for communication with the municipalities. And feel free at any time, to connect with us. Our meetings are the 4th Wednesday of the month. We meet at the Ishpeming Senior Center. So it's an open public meeting. If you have any agenda items that you want to put on or any public comment, or just call me at the office too.
Sounds great.
Okay?
Good. Thank you
Can I
very
add
much.
just one last
Absolutely.
thing? I think it was about a year ago, you and I talked offline about a small drainage issue. And I know exactly where it's at because it's there again. And I think Treasurer Rick Auer knows exactly where I'm talking about. It's just east of Vandenboom. And the water travels down the south ditch line. It hits an obstruction and then fills up and spills over the trail, and then that part of the trail is messy. I think we could do a relatively quick fix if we'd be authorized to go out there and do it.
Okay. Yeah.
It's just cleaning up the ditch line a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we have the equipment to do that now, whereas we maybe didn't in the past.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, I will assess that with the next coming week and get back with you on that.
I know you have bigger issues west of us, so it's not a high priority, but it happens every year, and I
Right.
think if we just clean that, I don't know, it's maybe 20 feet of ditch line that's just filled in, and a couple of
Yeah.
scoops with a small loader bucket might do the trick and help us long-term.
Right, and that's the thing too, I think that's where we need to look at is this long-term maintenance plans, where we do have starting to failing drainage infrastructure, which is, kind of catching up to us now, which when it originally was put in is fine, but now, 15 years later, sediment builds up and leaves fall and things get plugged, so, yeah.
But anyway, I think I could convince our crew to help with that pretty quickly.
Yeah, that'd be appreciated.
Okay, so let's just be in touch on that.
All right, sounds good, John, thank you.
Okay,
Okay,
thanks, Bob.
all right. All right,
Always
have a
good
good
to see
meeting.
you.
Have a good evening. Thank you.
Thanks. All right, community linkage. I've got like 1,000 meetings to share with you, and I'm not gonna go through all of them, but I do need to let you know some of the stuff that's going on in the county. First of all, I want to acknowledge our pastor, or our representative from the county commission who passed away, Steve Adamini. I just wanted to acknowledge his support. He's had been to our meetings a few times when he was able to, because we were on conflicting meeting nights, and he has a stellar history of working with the public and legislature, so sad day. I know you don't want to hear about recycling and organics, so I'm not going to go into that, but the Material Planning Committee is working on that, and we will have something in the next month or two for you guys to look at. I did attend the LSCP dinner that honored Ann Drew for her work in the county and introduced Natalie Chmiko, who's going to be the new CEO of the partnership. And she was at the meeting today too. She's following Christopher around, learning everything she can, trying to learn everybody's names. That's the hard part, she said. There was a housing subcommittee for government officials, and they created through the county, they created a questionnaire that I thought was pretty impressive, and they weren't sure exactly what to do with it. And I said, why don't you give it to all of the communities and find out what their planning specifics are, and then compile a book or, put it on a stick or something, which goes back to when Mitch Udall was here, and we talked after one of the meetings he attended, and he said the hardest part about working in these communities is not knowing the difference between each one of them. Because you go to Negaunee Township, and this is what you have to go through to do a building, and you go to the city, and this is what you have to do, and then you go out to Republic, and this is what you have to do. So when they presented that questionnaire, I said, give it to each community and let them fill it in. So when the Mitch Udalls come to Marquette Township, we say, here, this is what you have to do.
Nordall.
What did I say?
Sorry, Udall. No, it's Nordall.
Nordall, yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, thank you. So anyway, that was my 2 cents to add at that committee. I did do a overview of the Waste Management Planning Committee at the Business Association meeting. I guess that's 2 weeks ago now. We did have our safety forum, that was 2 weeks ago also. The Upset did not attend. He apologized. He sent me a nice email saying we were working in Marquette Township. So I guess that's a good thing. But that's why they couldn't attend that night. Their forces were all out in the neighborhood somewhere. But the sheriff did a fabulous, they brought their drone, the underwater drone. They did he didn't have it operating, of course, but he talked about it quite a bit. And for some of you who might have been struggling with the road commission and the plowing, they were working with the sheriff's department and the through dispatch, helping people get out of their homes that were trapped. They spent a lot of their resources from the road commission. I understand the first week I asked them how their, this was a different meeting, asked him how their overtime was, and he said 2,000 hours the first week of this winter storm. So you can tell, I know I was complaining about my roads not being plowed too, but between that and working with the sheriff, I was glad to know that anyway. And oddly enough, one thing I did want to mention, the sheriff was saying that night, he was talking about trying to find that young student, Mr. Massey, and how he said, we will start again tomorrow. And we're out there, we've got divers, we're using this underwater drone, and we're gonna find him. And I'll be darned, they found him the next day. So they were pretty committed. It had been 2 months, I guess. I thought that was kind of ironic. There's so much more that I could have shared, but anyway, I don't want to keep this all night. The County Township Association dinner, annual dinner is tonight at Bay Cliff, so of course you knew I talked to them about that. We can't attend because of this meeting. I also did spend a couple hours with the new director at Partridge Creek Composting, say that 3 times fast, learning what their issue is so that I can bring that to the Materials Management Planning Committee. We had a MERS roundtable here yesterday, 2 days ago. It's a blur. And I mention that because it looks like our employees are very well taken care of with that plan. The way I understood it, Kim was there too, and we got a lot of good information, so you can be assured that they're earning their keep to help our employees out for retirement. There's also a DDA special meeting on the road. John can speak to that. And I was invited to the LSCP investor meeting. I didn't get the information from Christopher because he was working on today's meeting, but I will bring that back to you. That's an invitation that we got because we paid the extra membership fee. So there's information I can share with you on that at another meeting. The Housing Summit was today. Linda and I were both there. Whatever you want to share, it was very overwhelming. It was very good. I was trying to remember one takeaway, but I'm just kind of overwhelmed because it was all day. But it was informative. We didn't solve any problems, but we brought up even more issues. We also, just as a reminder, Tuesday the 19th, so that's 2 weeks from now, is our joint meeting here at lunch with the Business Association. So if you're not coming, please let me know so I can let them know since we've got lunch there. I also talked to Dulcie, our assessor, today about House Bills 5167 and 68. She's going to come and talk to us maybe online or at the next meeting or something, how that might affect pop-up tax and personal property tax and where that affects our income. That's pretty serious stuff. It may be going to committee, so that means they're a little more serious about that. So I'm going to keep on tabs with that for you in case we have to make some changes. Oh goodness, and the county, I just want to end with the county. They had a presentation from their MML attorney last night about the lawsuit they're involved with. One has been dismissed by the federal court. That was Mr. Hagen. That was dismissed, and he has joined the Kuback lawsuit now. So they're confident that they can beat it, if you want to say that. They've got lots to do, and they're going to be doing lots of closed sessions, they said. They're also trying to, they did actually rescind their ordinance on building inspections because they've had terrible time trying to find somebody to do that job because all of the people who are qualified are working independently and making more money, so nobody wants to work as an inspector. So the county had to turn the responsibility over to the state, and they hated to do that because there's one person in Escanaba that takes care of the whole UP for inspections on plumbing and electrical. Mechanic, yes. I was thinking the metal in the basement. Yeah, mechanical, thanks. So that's going to put kind of a kibosh on some of the housing that's been going on in the county that everybody's pushing on so much. And Veterans Affairs are going to ask for a millage increase from 0.1 to 0.5 because they're struggling. They need to be able to help these people. And did you know you have to have a dog license in the county? I didn't know they were still doing that, but you're supposed to. So I thought I'd better share that. I think that's enough. Lots going on.
The veterans millage is currently at a mill, and they're asking for an extra 0.05, if I read it correctly in the news.
It shouldn't be a mill. I thought it was, she said .1 and they were.
Point
going-
one, and they're going for an extra .05, so it's .15
.05
would be the new,
Okay, good, thank you.
yeah.
I wrote it down wrong. Thanks.
That's
for-
what it said in the news anyway.
Yeah.
Lots of millages to consider this,
Yes.
this year, and we have one on our agenda tonight.
Yeah. So let's get into it. Linda, did you want to talk about today at all?
I did want to mention the person that did the presentation at lunchtime. He was the HBA economist, Jesse Wade, and I'm going to try and get his PowerPoint because it zeroed in on Marquette County and told us the funding that we have for housing, and it talked about how many new house builds, and it was very informational. And I think we just kind of need to be aware of that and what the average costs are and how we match up nationally. So it was a fascinating presentation, and other than that, we sat with people we didn't know.
Yeah.
So we met some new people, and that's always good.
Yeah, the networking, it's just like the MTA conferences. The networking is so valuable. Meeting people in the community you don't have normal dealings with. Okay, anything anybody else wants to share? Nothing you're running into? I guess that's good. Okay, so we want to start with G. We're going to start with the PUD agreement? Or which one?
Yeah,
Because COLA was first,
yeah, we're starting
and
with,
that's,
the new 8A
That's-
is the PUD agreement.
okay, we'll
And I
start with that
think
one.
our attorney will probably handle most of the conversation, but I don't think there's action for you to take tonight. Beyond helping your team decide what you want for, what's the section in the agreement? What section number? We have plenty of emails that refer to it, but do you think I can remember?
Subsection G. Well, that's the one with the paved road.
Yeah.
Well, basically,
Four was
it's the section
changed.
that addresses who's going to pay for. We will own, Marquette Township will own the water line and the sewer line. And the developer requested a below-average size easement. If this was a private development, you'd have a 66-foot wide easement because that's what your ordinance requires for private roads. In a PUD, you can vary those things. This one is variable. So what that means is the water and sewer are going to have to be at least partially under the pavement. So the question is, presumably in the first 10 to 15 years, there is no excavation, but eventually something's going to have to be dug up in that system. Who's going to pay to repave? The township always does the excavating on its own system and always returns the surface to whatever the condition it was to grade. But it varies on a case-by-case scenario whether the township will pay to repave, or whether the private party will pay to repave. And that's the decision on who's going to pay if it gets dug up in 15 to 20 years or whenever to repave it.
So where we stand currently, I think Attorney Zappa is attempting to put the best situation into the agreement for the township, which I fully respect. The challenge becomes, how does that compare to what we do in all of our other situations? Lenny's online, and I thought he could provide you what we currently deal with. Now, keep in mind, most of our situations are in a public right-of-way with a public road, and there's only one answer, and that is, if you dig it, you put it back to how it was before. In most of the parking lot situations where we have an easement, the same thing happens, or a private driveway, if we have to disrupt it to dig a hole. Even if the utility isn't under the roadway, it will be pretty close to it, and we're probably going to get into the edge of the roadway and have to put the roadway back to how it was. So the question is, with a private road, are you comfortable if we have the exact same scenario, so to speak, and that we put it back the way it was when we started? My experience wherever I've been, that's always been the case. We have some examples within the township where that isn't necessarily going to be the case when it's time. We just want to make sure the board gets a chance to make this decision based on what makes the most sense for the township. And Lenny can tell you what we consistently deal with out in the field.
And that, those funds then come out of water or wastewater, depending on the project?
Whichever utility is being worked on pays
Okay.
for the full restoration to what it was, or better than when we started.
Okay. Lenny, can you hear us? Did you want to speak? Good, thanks.
Yep, so that is basically what we do. If we have an issue, whether it be water and sewer or whatever we get into, we generally will repair it. There's been many times where we've got into private yards just to keep a safe hole or a safe work site. And if we get into a driveway or something in those situations, yeah, we do pay to repair those and put those back to where they were before. Sometimes even all the way up to the grinder tanks, which are actually well beyond the right of way, just because the way everything is written, we own up to that point. So if we get issues where we tear it up to the grinder tank, we do repair the private yard in that instance, because we made the mess and we had to do the work.
So anything that's disrupted, whether it's in the easement we have legal access to or not, we restore it to its pre-existing condition.
Yep.
And my argument is not to discredit what the attorney is suggesting, because I think he's looking out for our best interests here with the most or the least impact financially down the road. I think if we're consistent with everything else and don't have to remember in this particular situation something's different, it would be consistent for us to repair whatever we dug, just like any other contractor would, whether it's Semco or any other buried utility.
And usually, don't you bring that grade up to the, even with the top of the blacktop, and then drive on it for quite a while so it compacts, and then you just give a paver a list of all the patches you need done, and then they come and do them, right?
Especially when they happen in the winter, we'll schedule as many as we can to get that economy of scale.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with that. I think, I'd like to see it stay the same way that we treat the rest of them.
So
And
go ahead, Lenny.
I was going to say, honestly, if when we get into the road, it's usually a patch. We're not, or we might, have a pretty good hole in the road, but it's not like yards and yards and hundreds of feet of any blacktop that we have tore up. We usually are pretty surgical about what we do. If we start getting huge areas, we have bigger issues than blacktop that we're worrying about.
And in that case, we have a contractor we're paying, and the costs are escalating pretty quickly. The restoration of the pavement ends up being almost, negligible compared to the overall cost of the project.
Well, I'm fine with the way we do it now. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
Me too.
So originally you're asking for us to approve this, but because of the changes that the attorney was recommending, you were wanting to get a consensus or a motion or?
We need to know what to put in this particular section
Okay.
to get to a point where we believe the township and developer are on the same page, so we can get you the full document to review before committing to it. I don't want you to take action on a document you haven't seen. I think that's unrealistic.
Well,
Roger?
basically, we have two alternates, and that's about a 10-minute fix, which it makes no difference to me which one it says. So if time is of the essence, everything else as of today has been approved by the developer. So you could approve it contingent with that revision, and we could then change the red line version into a black line version and have a final one if you want. That's just an option for you. I'm not telling you you need to do that, but that's,
Is that what was in the email today, John, then? Are those the two options you're talking about?
The two options that were in the email I shared with you are the one that I think we're agreeing to, or the one that Mitch said could work but we don't have in writing anywhere that says, our policy is, we put it back to what it was when we started or better. They both accomplish the same thing. The second option is more words. It's clear that no matter who it is that digs it up, they're responsible for putting it back the way it was.
Would you want to read it? Would that help? Because I'm thinking time, and if Roger can do this in 10 minutes, maybe we could do it contingent on him getting it done.
I do
And I'm not
have
trying to
the-
rush it, but I'm trying to make best use of our time.
Yeah, and I don't know that that language is exactly the way our attorney would ultimately recommend it be written.
But the
I-
intent.
I can read it to you if you'd like. Section G3 is actually what Mitch referred to it as. And the language says, the HOA, which is the homeowners association, shall be responsible for perpetual maintenance and repairs of the private drive, which we all agree on, including grading, pothole repair, and snow removal. So the road commission has no responsibility there, it's a homeowners association. Where the HOA, the developer, or any privately owned utility serving the development performs excavation of the road or adjoining ground, the excavating party shall be responsible for restoring the road and adjoining ground to its prior condition. And I really think you could make this all one paragraph where whoever dug it fixes it, basically. In more professional terms, the way we know our attorney can put it, and it'll sound a lot better. Notwithstanding the foregoing, where the township, any public utility, or any other party performs excavation of the road or adjoining ground to maintain, repair, replace, or access water, sanitary, sewer, or other utilities that may have been dedicated to and accepted by the township, or are otherwise owned, operated, or controlled by the township or any other public utility, the excavating party shall be responsible for restoring the road and adjoining ground to the condition existing immediately prior to the excavation. So there's two different scenarios. If the homeowners association or development tears it up, they fix it. If any utility company tears it up or their contractor, they fix it. Right?
Yeah, you could condense that to saying whoever digs it up fixes it,
Sure.
basically.
Yep.
Short and sweet.
So does anybody feel comfortable with the motion? Would you
I
rather
would
see
make
the
that
document?
motion To approve that with that contingent, whoever digs it up fixes it.
And then authorize, I think the supervisor and clerk typically sign those?
Yes.
So authorize the supervisor and clerk to sign on behalf of the township.
Yes.
Support.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thanks.
I can have that probably tomorrow morning, depending on what my secretary's schedule is looking like. And then it'll come back in the format of getting rid of all the red line stuff. So what that will do is give you normal paging, because in the red line version, software that most people use, it screws up the pages. So it'll be a nice sequential paging that'll come back with it, all in black, and should be in a format ready to be executed.
You won't see all of the editing commentary that it took to get with the several iterations back and forth. And keep in mind, the remainder of the document is very consistent, I believe, with other PUD agreements we have recently passed. This unique situation is where we have the, call it minor impasse between the parties. And I didn't think that one particular item was enough to derail what seems to be a pretty important project to this point. There is one other part of the agreement, section F4, I believe, that refers to the Build UP bond payment. And I think now is probably the time to discuss it if you're okay.
Sure.
That will be a separate agreement. And the format we're looking at this point to ensure the township gets his money back is to start with a collateral assignment of the TIF revenue, which has been done in the past. The Brownfield Authority's consultant has been involved in them and has provided us a sample document to work from. I'm not sure that Attorney Zappa has had a chance to really digest that yet because it's pretty fresh this week, if I remember correctly. But my recommendation would be, we start with that, and the township requests that the developer not receive a dime of TIF revenue until the bond payments are covered.
That's a good protection.
And the payment schedule that's in that 90-page document that trustee Kidda reminded me of, and trustees Kidda and Layton reminded me of as I walked in earlier, that was so long ago, I forgot all about it. It's the 90-page document created by PFM that was sent to Build UP for their board meeting yesterday or Monday. I lost track of the days this week. It's been amazing. They did approve that $750,000 loan to this project at 2% interest pending a development agreement. So that agreement would be, they want to make sure not only that they get their payments, but that the township is satisfied with the repayment agreement with the developer. So the general fund is not on the hook. We've done our best to protect the township up front. And that's been the concern since day one, right? We don't want the taxpayers on the hook for this. We want the project to pay for itself, basically. Can there be other precautions written into that? I think so. We just haven't dived that deep into it yet. The other example that we received did have discussion about the bank that holds the primary lien on it having like first priority, that kind of thing. We have to look into that and see if there's other suggestions we talk about. So the key is we need to get the project going and homes built and occupied ASAP to generate that tax revenue ASAP so the bonds get paid off quickest. If they had even 20 homes built in a short period of time, that revenue starts coming pretty quickly. And most developers don't do that in the UP. Would you agree with that?
I agree, yeah.
Just a sidebar, I've been to 2 meetings, today was one of them, that Mitch was one of the speakers, one of the presenters on a panel on different stuff with housing. And I was very impressed with his knowledge, his answers to the questions, his organization, how focused he is and committed. And that was one of the things that developer Swadley said today, is that if you're gonna be a developer and try to do these big projects versus just even one home, you have to be tenacious, you have to be committed. And I see that in Mitch. And that was some of our angst, I think, in the beginning of this project, is we weren't getting that warm and fuzzy feeling of commitment. That's my interpretation.
Things were moving very slowly to start, for sure.
Yeah, I'm
Yep.
not trying to put words in your mouth, but it's changed completely since Mitch took over, and I have more, I was gonna say respect, but I do, but
Confidence?
confidence, thanks, that's what I was looking for, in his ability to get this done. And the way John has worked so diligently with Roger on trying to hone this down to protect us has really changed my mind
To be
about it.
fair, Roger's been left in the dark on too much for too long, and he has to play some catch-up, so I hope everyone understands that.
Yeah, but he's been working hard too on it, like you have, so appreciate that. If you go to these housing meetings, they're just crying for homes, so we're doing our part. It was a long road, but anyway, I just wanted you to know that about Mitch. I should tell him. Maybe he's listening, I don't know, but I think he's doing a good job. So, anything else on that?
I just want to say I've communicated with Mitch quite frequently in the last couple of weeks, and every time I talk to him, he's kind of a little overwhelming with how efficient he can be. In fact, we usually end every conversation with me saying, "You're so good at AI, have your assistant write your response to me so I can share it with the people that need it on this end," because I'm not that efficient, but he can be. And he's got a lot going on, so.
Yeah, he does. He's working downstate too, I didn't know that. I thought it was just Wisconsin.
Well, let's try to capture all of his attention up here because the region needs it.
Yeah. The other thing that bothered me, just another sidebar, is apparently we're getting a lot of our wood for our homes from Canada. Do you remember them saying that?
I do, I
Like,
do.
there's a 50% tariff on Canadian, why don't we get some local wood? I don't know, that's just me. So anyway, let's move on. Okay, what's our new number 2?
8B is the, consider purchase of the acoustic material for the pickleball noise.
No, we don't want to do that. Oh, because Lenny's here. Okay, sorry. Because I know Dan's waiting. That's right.
Dan will be here quick. Just
Dan
wait.
was here, Dan was late because he was probably on a call. I heard the siren go off
Yeah.
at, right around, shortly after 5.
Yeah, did you tell Lenny that the hydrant was,
I didn't call Lenny, I called Dave.
okay, the hydrant was hit over on 492 in Commerce.
Again?
Okay, Lenny. Wake up again. Pickleball, or do you want John to comment, or?
I can start, Lenny, if you'd like.
Yes,
Since,
Jason mainly took the lead on this one here.
yep, Jason Jeff definitely did, and I
Oh,
appreciate
okay.
that. He stepped in. It was from his role with the Recreation Committee. The neighbor over there is getting quite upset about the noise. We hadn't even had our nets out yet this year, and it was getting pretty interesting. And it reminded us that we need to get going on a solution out there. We do have some money in the budget, maybe not quite enough for the cost of these materials, but I think it'll go a long way to resolving some of the primary angst with this increased intensity of noise, especially caused by the wiffle ball type ball they use and the wooden paddles. It's just, and echoey type of sound behavior there. It's bouncing back and forth between his house and the pavilion and our retaining wall. This will help stop that, I think, quite a bit. Jason did say our second lowest bid was actually probably the most responsive, and he was pretty comfortable going that route. But in this case, I feel like the products are very comparable, and we would save a little bit of money by going the Putterman route. So the recommendation is to purchase the noise guard panels from Putterman Athletics for the bid amount of $23,125.96. That includes an estimated shipping amount, so it could be a little more or less. The price of the materials themselves is $22,175.96. And our staff can hang those and remove them in the winter so that they'll last longer.
Anything you want to add, Lenny?
No, I just think this is a good idea. It will help, and it should be. It's a good thing for the township to do, especially for the neighbors. And yeah, and it'll be good for the players and for the neighbors, I believe.
Okay. Pleasure?
Has it been discussed at all with the neighbors?
The neighbor has demanded something be done about the noise, and there's been threats of lawsuits and that kind of thing because we're violating our own noise ordinance. This is a quality product to do the best we can to reduce that concern. It might go a long way toward eliminating the need for attorneys to get involved any more than they have been to this point.
I'll make the motion to authorize the purchase of the Putterman pickleball acoustic stuff for Lions Field at $23,125.96.
I'll support that.
Okay. Any other questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you.
So back to.
Back to A?
North Country Disposal.
Okay, we're trying to get rid of you, Lenny. Don't worry.
Yep.
It's happening. All right, let's go
So,
back up.
so this one here is just, it's per section 6.5 of our contract, North Country Disposal can come back and ask for a COLA every year. We did anticipate a 3% COLA for 2026. This one that they're asking for is 2.8%.
So it's under your budget that you budgeted for, hey? Yeah.
Yeah, yes.
I'll make the motion, we adjust to approve the request for the 2.8% COLA for North Country.
Okay, questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Lenny, we
Yeah, thank
we were talking yesterday about the 11% increase, or sorry, the $11 increase from the landfill.
Yes.
Had you had a chance to look at that to see if you were covered or how much?
I am not, I looked at it, I can't remember the number offhand. I did anticipate an increase, but not $11.
Okay.
So probably, I think I probably only anticipated something like $3 or $4.
And
Kind
I
of
did-
like what they were doing before.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but I wanted to catch you while I had you to see if you.
I can get the numbers for you, the hard numbers that we had, and I can also calculate what it will be at $11 for everybody here too. So
Okay. We should know by the next meeting. I'm guessing it'll be on their agenda, and it's right before our meeting, 2 weeks, so we'll know in a couple weeks if they're gonna approve it. I'm assuming.
yeah, I'll run the scenario for you, and I'll get you the hard numbers of what we anticipated on our budget. But I know for a fact it wasn't anywhere close to $11.
If I may add something, I'm sorry if you were going to say something, Linda.
Well, again, this is the reason why you recycle, to keep our costs down. So I would encourage everyone out there to continue to recycle, because if you're throwing it in your trash can, we're paying for it to go in the trash.
And across the scales, and that's where that $11 per ton fee kicks in. If it doesn't go across the scale, it doesn't impact cost.
And
at
they
the
get
curb.
an income from what they bring in, which is even better. The plastic and cardboard, they need it.
So the one thing I just wanted to say, while we have Lenny's attention, because he and I don't always have as many opportunities during the day to catch up as we should. Sometimes I actually have to shoo him away. Maybe not as politely as I could, just, we're both busy. The two primary factors that impact our garbage fee on the utility bill are the garbage curbside collection contract, which you just approved the COLA for, and the tipping fees. And my advice to Lenny would be is to look at both of them now that we know the true COLA for the year, and have the adjusted residential curbside rate incorporate both of those, because there's a minor savings in the COLA, but a significant increase in the tipping fee. So we might be able to keep that tipping fee a little bit lower as a result of the savings in the COLA. He knows what I'm talking about, he'll figure it out.
Yep.
Okay,
Okay,
pass the savings on just like we would the increases, right?
yeah. Anything else on that? Okay. Thanks, Lenny. I think you're done.
Okay. Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay, ladder truck, is that what we're doing next?
Yeah, I honestly
the
think,
path.
and Treasurer Rickauer can back me up on this one or not, but I believe he and I are on the same page, and really, the only way the fire department equipment fund has an opportunity to grow through the repayment of this ladder truck debt is to do an interfund loan from the general fund to the fire equipment fund. And it's at that rate of 3.8%, which is 0.02 of a point higher than what we're currently getting in our money market account, or we were at the time we looked. I think those rates are actually about to go down too, if they haven't recently. I'm not gonna let them reduce it below the 3.8 in my recommendation. That doesn't mean he can't fight for more. He certainly has a right as a department head, but I think 3.8 is the best rate we're going to get, and it's the only way excuse me, that we can allow them to continue building for their next big expense, which we know is coming.
Well, thank you for that explanation. That makes a lot more sense to me. I was trying to figure it out earlier, but now that makes a lot more sense, so I'm in agreement with that.
I'll make a
I'll make
motion.
the motion, or
Yeah, I can make the motion that we well, this is the reason, because I think we can borrow the money and pay ourselves back. Our general fund, we're lucky to have a general fund that can absorb this for the loan. Some places can't do that, but at least,
We do have the liquidity to do this.
yeah.
The treasurer's gone through all the numbers. The first $500,000 of this 1.5 interfund loan would be the revenue we received and have not yet spent from the land sale. Just so we're clear on that, okay? It doesn't mean we can't turn around and say, yeah, that's getting paid back, and this is what we really are going to spend it on down the road, but I wanted you to be aware, there's only another $1 million that has to come from fund balance that we had there end of last year, because the $500,000 came this year as an unbudgeted revenue, if I remember correctly, Kim. So we had to find another $1 million beyond that.
But anyways, I'll make the motion to authorize the loan from the general fund to the fire equipment fund and not to exceed the amount of $1,523,250 for 10 years at a 3.8 interest with annual payments according to the attached schedule.
or
Okay. Any questions? More questions, comments?
I'm just gonna comment as, for the residents, we've done our job here. We're lucky we can do this. We're taking advantage of helping our fire department with our own money and getting paid back with our own money to boost up the funds. So I'm really happy we can do this.
And the interest that the money is currently generating in the bank isn't lost going this route. It's being paid back as interest on the loan.
When will this start? Like tomorrow or?
It's going to be, the first payment will be due sometime around the end of the year, depending on when we actually make the payment to Reliant. And remember, we agreed to pay that up front for another 100-something thousand in savings, so that probably is the amount of savings we get versus going to a local bank or even the manufacturer for a loan on this.
Yeah, this is saving the township quite a bit. Lucky to be able to do it.
So we've done this before
Yeah.
for the fire department, and it has a track record, so we're all comfortable doing this. Okay.
The only thing that bond counsel said we need to do if we're going this route is make sure we document it. So this action, if you pass it, will be the documentation in the board minutes.
Because it'll be for the audit purposes, I'm sure.
Has a schedule.
Yep.
I have a feeling as soon as this motion is in draft format, Kim will be uploading it into the new auditor's cloud software so they know it's coming. Right, but they do like to know these things in advance.
Anything else? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. There's one weight off your shoulders, hey, Dan. Okay, EMS millage. Let's look at that one.
If anyone's been wondering what our attorney's been up to lately,
Seriously, the poor guy.
between PUD agreements, millage language, you have a resolution in front of you tonight that was prepared by him along with the millage language, and that would be necessary for you to adopt in order to put this before the voters in August.
Yeah, and our timeline is getting short. We have till May 12th to get this in, so. I'm in support of this, and I was talking to the manager before. This is my time to speak, even though we don't have a motion yet, but, so I guess I'll make a motion to approve the resolution for the sustainable, and, what is it? It's the EMT. but-
EMS service.
EMS service. Let me get it here. And it's the resolution through a roll call vote and the attached language.
Ballot language.
So I'll make that motion.
Support.
And so my comment is, as I was talking to the manager today, I says, it's, for my opinion, it's an insurance policy for our community. As yesterday, as I saw a lot of folks coming in and out, our community is aging, and the EMS service we've been providing has been excellent for our community. And if some reason this would go away at some time, which I don't want it to, Marquette General's ambulances could be out of the city, they could be at the base, they could be in Ishpeming, they could be in Nagani. If you're having a heart attack or a stroke and you're laying on the floor, instead of us getting there within 5 to 10 minutes, you might be waiting hours. And that's just so by having this service for our community and for our aging population, I think it's a good thing. And I hope they support it if it's put on the millage on August. And that's my
Your spiel.
spiel, I guess.
If I may
I was
elaborate.
just going to say, could you give kind of an
Yeah.
overview for people who are listening but don't have the agenda in front of them?
Yes,
Or the
this millage request is for 1 mil for 1 year. It doesn't quite cover the cost of providing 24/7 EMS service. We are currently paying for some in our operating budget. That's going to make up most of that difference. And this current year, the general fund is paying for us to staff up to get to that point in the event the millage does passes. We can just keep rolling right on into next year under millage revenue. And the intent of the committee that brought this to you was if the voters support the millage, they support the service. And you can't keep going back to the voters over and over again to support staffing. The way to do that for EMS, police, fire, any of that is through the Act 33 special assessment. So after the first year, the special assessment would be adjusted instead of going back to them over and over again. So the voters get to decide the first time. And if they don't support it, then the committee probably goes back to work and decides what to come back with next.
Questions?
I guess, to add to that, we've discussed this for a long time. There's been an issue with having the coverage and people having to get called out in the middle of the night and they still have a regular job to go to the next day. And it's just been getting harder and harder and harder. And we've known for the last, 5 years that we need to do something. And so this is our attempt to fix it. And what we had said in the committee was that the voters have to decide. We're not gonna just hit them with this increase without them thinking about it. So this is a chance for everybody to decide when it comes to vote, whether you want our local ambulance right here in the township on response 24/7 or not.
Because they're not now with the way the structure is. This is guaranteed staffing at the hall, ready to go.
To the extent that staffing is available.
Right.
I mean, a guarantee that we have 2 EMTs on every single shift from now until eternity is probably 95% accurate if we can get up to the staffing level, just because things happen, right? Our intention is to start with the busiest shifts first, correct, Dan? And keep filling them in until they're all claimed by part-time staff. And that's the biggest key here, is we could never ask the voters for a millage for 24/7 full-time staff. The cost is far too prohibitive. And this is for basic life support, not advanced life support. So we aren't hiring paramedics unless they want to come in at an EMT wage. But even if we have a paramedic in a part-time position, that doesn't license us to advanced life support, so we're still only providing basic life support.
Good synopsis.
It's expensive, there's no doubt about it. That 1 mil, if I can find it, generates, I gotta get on the right page. We shuffled our packet, so I was looking in the wrong place.
It's probably about 300 some thousand.
58, 68.
It says right here.
358,000 approximately generated in the first year. And we need a little over, what is it, 450,000-ish?
I thought we were close to 375.
Yeah, that's what I remembered.
Okay.
380.
Kim crunched the numbers, so I would trust her on this
So
one
it'll
better
be
than me.
close. It would be close if it's approved. The amount would be close.
Close, yeah.
Yeah.
And the rest of it would have to be absorbed by their operating fund, and hopefully we're going to see savings in that. We're not paying for additional weekend shifts. We're already covering those. And hopefully we don't lose our staffing on the weekend shifts when we give them the option of a night shift, right? There's a lot of challenges here because we're looking at staffing a lot more shifts, including an additional day shift with a part-time EMT. And that's to free up fire staff to do their jobs, right? One person to do inspections. So there's a little bit of trade-off there too, and some proper inspection revenues, that kind of thing. But overall improvement because it frees up the staff that we don't currently have.
It's a nice,
Available.
well-rounded recommendation to make a huge improvement. Did you want to add anything, Dan?
No.
Appreciate you being here,
No, I
just in
appreciate
case.
it.
You know, the easy button on this would be to just get rid of the ambulance. I think everyone knows that. But then you're back to a service where you're still responding to calls and you have zero revenue. And you can't transport anybody. Right?
Right.
That's what we used to have before the ambulance came.
And we saw the need, and we went through all this because we knew that's what the public needed, and they agreed. So,
Well-
And we're going to have an increased call volume once the J.P. Betty Center is built. You know, that's going to be another couple hundred calls per year that we have to consider also.
I think that combined with the fact that we're already burning out our paid-on-call EMTs demonstrates we have a need to do something now.
and that's what forced our hand on this, and it's a good thing that the staff or employees, which however you want to refer to them, the paid on call, they're worn out. They can't do this anymore. So we have to fix it or get rid of it, like John says. And we think this is the better alternative. Anything
I'll
else?
Call for the roll. Call.
Okay, all in favor?
Oh, it's a roll call. 'cause
Oh, that's right, it's a resolution.
So Clerk Rattari is yes. Treasurer Rick Auer.
Yes.
Trustee Winslow.
Yes.
Trustee Kidda.
Yes.
Trustee Leighton.
Yes.
And Supervisor Durant.
Yes,
Motion carries 6-0 and 1 absent.
thanks for that.
So what I will do is I will get this to the county tomorrow, and then it will go to the August ballot.
On behalf of the fire department, thank you. Both have issues.
So Dan, before you leave, I'm assuming someone is gonna put a pamphlet together that can be handed out to our residents about all of this?
Yes, we can definitely do that.
However, be careful with that pamphlet.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
wouldn't do anything
Yeah.
without.
Right, yeah, just kind of run it through, but,
Information.
It has to be informational, it
information.
can't be,
You can't say vote yes on this, basically.
but what Lynn and I learned today was that you have to have lots of avenues to get information out to people, and the written pamphlet is just one way. And so, we have a Facebook, we have lots of ways, but I can tell you not everyone uses the same way.
it's true.
I understand that.
Let's just approach this realistically because we're all very busy, so we'll do the best we can with what we have. We had a challenge just getting the advertisement out. The advertisement was created and done very professionally, much better than we ever did before, and it was wrong. It's not because the person that created it was rushed or anything, it's just, we advertised it as evening and weekend shifts, but it's all shifts, right? We're still adding one during the day shift, Monday through Friday. That alone created so many headaches for us just because we rushed to get the ad out. So keep in mind, all of these things, everything we do, we're under the microscope from angles you wouldn't even believe exist. They don't even know we did it or what we did, and we're getting accused of things that we didn't do. We're imperfect human beings, and everyone needs to understand that, including everyone on our staff, regardless of their employment status, whether it's full-time, part-time, paid on call. We all need to be on the same team. We're not here to fight each other. Oh, and the board, right? And I honestly think we have a pretty good relationship there, so I'm not suggesting we don't. We're very fortunate from that perspective. But yes, we are supposed to be a team. And when we try to help each other, it's to reduce the burden, not to increase it. But I agree. We need to get the message out. There's a lot of competing interests going on the ballot this year. We just had a school millage that was passed, brand new 1.5 that
That's huge.
people weren't paying before. And, the voters decided that. They'll get to decide on this and 2 countywide millages in August, and there'll be a renewal millage in November for the library. So the voters have a lot of tough decisions to make, and it's up to us to get the message out on why we think this is necessary at this time.
Would you be able to do some open houses or
We've
do
talked about
something
that,
here?
but we weren't gonna do it quite that quick before the August. We were gonna have something in August, but the election's in August. We had not planned it, but it might be something we need to do.
If I was
This
you,
summer have one for sure.
if I was you, the absentee ballots probably for the August election will probably go out the end of June.
Okay,
So probably sometime in July, early July, you should probably
okay.
target that. Because I'm gonna have 1,000 ballots out. So you wanna try to target those people when they get out and,
And if you'd like to have board members, I'd like to suggest that one or of us maybe could attend that, or a
Oh,
couple,
definitely. I think that's
so that
always
they
helpful. I
understand
really do.
the relationship.
I think at least
If-
one member of the
Hours.
committee would make sense for sure.
Yeah.
That's
then-
where this all came from.
and then you will have actually Community Day is actually before the election too.
They access the first.
It's the first.
Yeah, so, yeah.
So that would be probably another good place to have a informational booth set up.
The back of the calendar,
Yeah.
at least a part of
That's,
it.
yeah, that'll be, I don't know how that we're gonna, I'm not a marketing person either, but.
It's information.
It's just
That's all,
it's
you know.
factual
Yeah.
information.
Yeah, so you're
yeah.
not trying to sell anything, you're just
Right.
trying to explain why we're asking for this. And if you get your verbiage right, you can use the same thing on
Oh, yeah, yeah.
posters or whatever, if you were gonna have a booth,
Right.
you can just use the same thing over.
I
and
would
over.
also recommend we not go to full-blown glossy postcards to every
No,
voting household in the township. I
No.
just, we need this to be the most affordable avenues possible.
I said posters. Did you think I said postcards?
No.
Okay,
I'm just
I meant
saying
at the
what we
community
recently
day.
saw. I'm not gonna judge how other people
okay.
get their millage information out. I just don't think that we're in that kind of position to be doing glossy postcards, mailers, and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay, we're good? All right, thanks, Dan. All right, consider invoice for 50% of Forestville Road paving.
Unfortunately, former trustee Marks isn't among us tonight, but this goes back at least to his tenure on the board where, well, in 2014 and 15, I believe it was when the road bonds were taken out and the majority of the local roads in the township were repaved. Some neighborhoods like Huron Woods, Oak Hills, maybe Bishop Woods were chip sealed. And Forestville Road from 492, also known as Wright Street, to Huron Woods, nothing was done. And we budgeted this project before Longyear came along with their proposed Forestville Crossing development that has since died on the vine. And we weren't going to spend the money, even though it was allocated, if there was a chance Longyear would tear up that pavement, right? We're trying to be smart, dig once. Since the project's dead, I think we have an obligation to get that road paved. The road commission bid it out this year. It's within the $150,000 original budget we have allocated, right, Kim? In the fund balance, so it's restricted for this project. And the agreement that was signed indicates we pay half of those costs up front. So the road commission's not the bank on that. And this is their request to make that first payment of $47,651.77. The total cost being $95,303.53.
I'll move to authorize the payment of the invoice for that amount of the 50% of the cost of Forestville Road resurfacing.
Support.
Okay, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Last one, consider 2026 chip seal contract with Marquette County Road Commission.
So this is the portion of the annual maintenance project that we try to do every year, whether it's crack sealing, chip sealing, or any other pavement maintenance, including resurfacing like you just authorized the first invoice on for Forestville Road. The projects for this year, as itemized in the agreement, are Moran, west of Ontario to Commerce Drive. That was a portion that was crack sealed last year. Werner, which is the local road portion, that would be easterly of Ontario. The road commission chip sealed their portion, which is the primary portion, last year, was it, I believe? Meeske, which is a continuation of Werner to the city limits. And then Vandenboom Ave from Werner north to Huron, which is the whole length of it. So it's a pretty contiguous area for the most part, actually two different areas. And we're planning to continue to move outward with this before the investment that was made in 2014 and 15 gets beyond where we have to repave it again when this current debt is paid, right? We need to extend the life to minimize the oxidation of the surface of the asphalt so it doesn't become too brittle and start exploding on us like we have out front. Never mind that what we have out front was also chip sealed, it's just been too long since then.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2026 chip sealing agreement with the Marquette County Road Commission, the amount of $40,114.18.
Support.
Okay,
The other thing that I should note is with chip sealing now, because the road commission does the work, they split the cost with us, so we get a lot more done, a lot more bang for our buck than if it was all contractor based. And that's the way it had been before they acquired their own equipment. We would hire a contractor to do it.
any questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you for that. Any comments? Public comment? That's kind of Kim, if you had anything you wanted to add. Okay. Announcements from anybody? I'm sure you want to talk about your election.
Yeah, I'll give a, hopefully be quick here, but everything went well yesterday. It was very well attended for a school election. We had 403 people in person and 662 absentees for a total of 1,065 voters out of 3,722. So that's around 30%, 29 to 30%, which for a school election is really good because I'm looking back in history, we're lucky if we got 20%. So, and it was just steady all day yesterday. We didn't really have any low points or any like super busy, but it was just since in the morning for like first half hour, it was a little bit dead, but then around 8 o'clock when people start going to work, it was steady all day till 5 minutes to 8. So, in the millage passed by about 400 to 500 votes. There was some confusion about 9 o'clock. One of the news agencies had posted that the millage had failed. And what had happened is the townships had submitted all their stuff. And they took that, and it was about 40 votes on the losing side at that point. And then the city of Marquette uploaded their results shortly after that. And then that's what brought the numbers to that about 450 votes for the passing of the millage. So it was a little bit, because so when they found that out, that story came down like, phew,
They jumped the gun.
they jumped the gun a little bit. So that's what happened. If the residents want to it was a little bit of a confusion there, but don't look at the results until everyone has their stuff in. So, and I would say, depending on the election, usually the 11 o'clock news is where they have the final stuff. So, because we bring our stuff into the county, and the city's usually the last because they have more precincts and more moving parts than the townships do, and they usually get their results in a little bit later. So don't, like I said, don't look at the early results. Sometimes just look at the late news.
Yeah, these local elections don't have the level of exit polling occurring like you see on the national news
No.
for a presidential election or that kind of thing. So wait until the official results are reported before you know the final. That's about the best advice that anyone in Clerk Rattari's position could give, I think, for locals.
Yeah, I'm looking at the absentee ballots. Will probably be going out around the, depending on when I get them, it'll be probably the last week of June or the first week in July. And then there's going to be we'll have 9 days of early voting the last week of July starting too. So we get done with this election, and I got like about a month and a half, and then we go right back into election mode. And my assistant, Michelle, did a great job with everything. So, and a few of the board members worked the election. So if you got any comments, I think it went well.
No comments. It went really, really well.
Good for you.
So,
It's the leadership, Randy.
well,
It's the team.
Yeah.
well, I've been doing this for 16 years, and this is actually an easy one because it was just a one item ballot. But the next one will be a little bit challenging because it's a primary, and people have to stay in their lane when they vote. They can't cross over, and that causes some strife. So, but we guide them, and they end out usually in the right spot. So
Deal.
that's all I have.
I did wait after the commission meeting, county commission last night, and introduced myself to our new commissioner, Fred Benzie. Gave him my card, told him when our meetings were. So hopefully he couldn't make tonight. Of course, that was pretty quick, but hopefully he'll grace us with his presence. And if you've got things you want him to know, please write them down. And if we don't see him for a while, I will definitely get a hold of him and make it a stronger invitation. Just so you know. Any other announcements? Okay, Mr. Manager?
Believe it or not, there are a few other things we haven't talked about that we've worked on recently, and some more work that we're gonna have to assign to our attorney, who's been plenty busy without this stuff. But fire department staffing, the EMTs, we do have the ad out on Facebook and our website. We have been getting some pretty good activity as far as response. We're keeping a file, and I honestly feel like we need to start interviewing before we even reach the deadline, because we want to get these positions, or these wow, it's been a long day.
Yeah.
We need to start scheduling people on these available shifts ASAP. And of course, the people that have already been on our staff as paid on call are given the first opportunity to fill whatever shifts they're able to, within the limits of part-time status, of course. We can't give them too many hours, they become full-time. That's what we have laws for. So that's advertised. Currently, the ad has been extended from May 8th to May 22nd, and that's because we changed the ad to include all of the shifts available. We anticipate we're going to extend that indefinitely, if not keep it open-ended depending on what happens in August. So it'll be a challenge to keep all of these shifts staffed with part-time employees. We will get some experience, some that are fresh off of getting their certification. There's going to have to be proper training. We can't send a couple of inexperienced EMTs out by themselves. So that challenge with brand new people will take some time to work through. There'll be probationary periods, all of that. But the ads are out there, and we are getting response, which is good. The planning inspector, this is a role that's been talked about for probably a year and a half at least. We are intending to fill that. We're getting some good response there too. A really good variety of experience so far. I won't get into details because that's that is expiring. That posting is expiring May 8th. That's this Friday. I think we already have some pretty good candidates there, and we'll see if we can afford the right one. It's a classified position. It is part-time, but it's within our classification system, and unfortunately, you know, it's not a $30 an hour job. So it's got to be somebody that's willing to take on some additional duties with some flexibility. That's really what it comes down to. Tackling the things that our current staff just aren't getting to in a timely fashion, and trying to follow them through. Give our attorney some more work because we're not keeping them busy enough.
It's not like he doesn't have any other townships or other clients, you know.
I don't want to speak for him, but I know he's been plenty busy. We have another part-time, actually it would be a contract position we have to get going on ASAP, and that's the residential field appraiser position, which is the program that Supervisor Durant rolled out with Dulcie and Janelle at least a couple of weeks ago. What we need to do is get the RFP out, because this will be a 1099 position. We got to make sure with our legal counsel that we're not hiring a 1099 person that should be a W-2 employee. So there's some very specific things that we can't do if it's a 1099 contract. We've worked out a few of those already. We just want to make sure we aren't missing anything, and that'll come back to bite us. The intention is to go the 1099 route, and we believe we'll get at least one good candidate that our assessor would be willing to work with. Might get surprised with multiple. We don't know. These kind of positions don't become available that often, and if you have the skill set, there's a limited number of people to do it. But the essential duties are to do 20% of our residential properties field appraising annually for 5 years. So all of our residential properties get appraised in that 5-year period as required by AMAR. And it would be just an annual contract. And then they provide us the information they gather in the field. It's pretty straightforward, and as a result then, Dulcie's contract will be amended with a new effective date of May 1. Well, we're past May 1 of this year, but it'll terminate on April 30, 5 years from now, if you agree to the terms. She's taking a $20,000 annual pay cut to accommodate this new part-time or contract position, I should say. So 2 more documents that we have to get done. It's the RFP, making sure that we're compliant with labor laws so the 1099 contract can work. And a lot of that is we can't dictate means and methods, just like any other contract work that's done. This is the job you will do by this date, and this is what you get paid for it. It's pretty simple from that perspective, but so that's the last staffing thing we have on our agenda, and I would like to get that done yet in the next week or two, if possible. Library book drop box that's currently at the Westwood Mall. We talked about that previously. We're meeting with the library staff out here Friday morning with our staff, and that box is already on a slab, and we went and looked at it. We'll be able to pick it up and bring it over here and set it in place. So as long as we all agree to where it's going once it gets here, it should be a pretty easy task. And then it'll be up to the library to notify their customers where they can bring their books to drop them off in Marquette Township. Storybook walk, we talked about that. I haven't heard back from my contact there, but we tentatively have her on the agenda for June 3rd presentation. It's basically you take a kid's storybook and you take 1 or 2 pages and put them in a some sort of kiosk at kid reading level. They can read the book or the first page or 2 of the book, go for a walk, and continue reading the book until they get to the end. And the idea is to install one of these at Schwemmwood Park. And we're hoping there's going to be minimal cost to the township to do it. There's some programming funds out there. It sounds pretty exciting, a good way to get more family activity at Schwemmwood Park too. Get the kids out participating in nature, breathing some fresh air, and reading. Finally, maybe the biggest news of the week, something that I hadn't thought about until now that we probably should make sure our attorney signs off on. But the DDA yesterday afternoon agreed to spend almost a quarter of their annual revenue on some temporary paving on Commerce Drive to get us through 1 year. They would purchase the hot mix asphalt for the road commission to place on the worst spots out there, so we can at least save our vehicles until the road commission can come back next year with a full reconstruct of Commerce Drive. Some other aspects of that the DDA is making a priority of would be extending our non-motorized facilities at least as far as the entrance to Cedarville. So they didn't want to spend a ton of money knowing that that's coming as early as next year, but they saw the need to do something out there that really can't wait. Even though it's a 1-year fix, there's no warranties or anything. It's get the best bang for the buck so that we can still travel Commerce Drive until it's fixed properly.
And just so the residents know, it's coming from the DDA funds. It's
It
not
would
coming
be
out of
from the
our-
DDA millage. It's a 1 mil for 2 years. We've collected the first year of it, if my memory's serving me correctly. And that generates about $100,000 a year, of which they're spending $19,000 on Commerce Drive.
Because of the partnership with the road commission. They're giving us the equipment and the person.
We did get a contractor price for the same work, and it's more than double that. So again, the road commission's saving more than half the cost by doing the labor themselves and providing the equipment. And the caveat to that was to have it done by the end of June. So it won't happen right before winter, just to get us through winter when it would be filled, potholes would be full of snow anyway. So we would see some useful life the remainder of this year out of that. If it doesn't happen in June, then they have to wait until the DDA meets again July 14th, I believe. So that's good news. I think the DDA deliberated that one quite extensively. They came up with a number that made sense. 19,000 is the number, and it seems kind of odd, but if you look at where their budget is, it makes more sense, and I'd be more than happy to talk about that individually with anyone that's curious why it wasn't 20 or even the 25,000 number that was brought up. And 19 is a good number within their budget, and it gets the worst parts at least temporarily fixed. And the reason our attorney should take a look at this is it was not in their project priority plan, so this would be sort of an emergency expenditure, but it is definitely in the DDA. Clear as mud?
I've got it.
All right, thank you.
Anything else? I
That's
mean,
enough for.
That's a lot.
It's been very busy the last month. The snow melted quickly and the floodgates were turned wide open. Everyone's anxious to get going. We will still have that development or developer agreement for you to consider. That may require a special meeting. I know Lynn has some availability issues coming up starting next week, but we're gonna get that ready as soon as we can in a position where at least the attorney and I are going to be on the same page for you to consider. And of course, Mitch will have seen it. I think he understands the concept and seems agreeable. There may have to be some negotiation, just like any other agreement. We'll see how that goes.
Any questions for John?
Well, thank you. I asked you, it must be 2 months ago, are you gonna pull a rabbit out of your hat and get that road fixed?
I'm not sure it was my idea because it came up at the DDA's regular April meeting and they scheduled a special meeting just to consider this. And that gave me just enough time to get the pricing from the road commission. In fact, we had the contractor price and I was meeting with the chair of the DDA when the road commission called and said, we know that number you got is probably a little too much to chew, especially if you're gonna help with non-motorized next year. And that's when they suggested, we're not trying to push out a contractor, let's get the best bang for the buck, you pay for the hot mix asphalt, we'll place it. So that was a half hour before the meeting happened yesterday afternoon. This stuff it's just rapid fire at this point, and we're just trying to be the best stewards of the taxpayers' money.
And that was a 45-minute discussion just on that. There was a lot of.
I said a half hour, so I
It was
underestimated.
45 minutes.
Yeah. It was debated heavily. It was a serious discussion, and road paving has not been among the DDA's priorities. They're more focused on non-motorized facilities. But it was clear to everybody something needed to be done, and it's in the DDA, and it impacts a lot of their taxpayers. So it's important enough. I think we have at least one member in the audience that would agree.
Okay. No other questions for him? We can look at the motions.
First motion was to approve the consent agenda as presented. That was approved. The second motion was to approve the regular agenda as amended. We moved 8A to, or 8G to 8A, and then 8F to 8B. And then the rest of the agenda was reordered. That was approved. So the PUD agreement, which was the new 8A, was approved with the changes by board consensus, and so the lawyer will take care of that, and that was approved. The fourth motion was to approve the acoustic materials for the pickleball. That was approved. I gotta flip around here. Then the fifth motion was to approve the North Country Disposal COLA adjustment. That was approved. Sixth motion was to approve the inter-fund loan for the ladder truck financing. That was approved. The seventh motion was to approve the EMS millage for the August ballot. And that was approved by roll call vote. The eighth motion was to approve the invoice for 50% of the Forestville Road paving. That was approved. And the ninth motion was to approve the 2026 chip seal contract with the County Road Commission, and that was approved.
Good business, guys and gals.
I got two more things for board comment after future agenda.
Yeah, I don't have anything for next meeting, but who knows? Maybe our new commissioner will be here, and I'm sure John and Roger are gonna have something.
So two things before they're on my mind before they slip away. Remember we upgraded the website or something? I looked at the new version, because there's a new version, and it looks very similar to what we have now, although I think you'll like it a little bit better. So by May 8th, you have to approve that, Lynn.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, I haven't seen a contract.
well, no, just there's a timeline of, remember how we,
Yeah.
so look at your email, they wanna, because you're kind of the contact for that. Or John, I can't remember, but one
It
of
was
us.
addressed to Lynn.
Okay,
Okay.
and then the second item is when we renegotiated John's contract, he has now a May evaluation time, which will be wrapped up into June. So I will be getting out an evaluation form to the board to be due by the end of May for the manager.
If I may add to that, real quick, when my contract was renewed, there was a letter of agreement from the old contract that got lost in the shuffle, resulting in a reduced amount of paid time off. It was unintentional, it was overlooked. I think at least the clerk supervisor and I are on the same page that we'll correct that before year end. I wasn't as worried about it early in the year because I can't use up my whole year's worth of PTO in the first 6 months anyway. In fact, I'm just getting to my busy PTO season. But that, and then I'll have one other request that we'll get into later.
So I have one thing, if you can add to the next agenda, to do the motion to allow people to have beverage of choice at the community day event on August 1st.
And by the way, we have the road closure permit for that event in hand.
So it's the Lions Field waiver. Okay. Copy and paste from last year.
Yep.
Anything else? Any board member comment? Anything you want to share? Problems, issues?
I'll move to adjourn.
Second.
We can adjourn. Dan's not here.
Next meeting date.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Next meeting is May 20th.
May 20th.
We are adjourned at 7:21.